Well, good morning, fun lovers and rain soakers. You can hear it on the roof of this place, but it is not responsible for the delay in opening this program, I can assure you. I hope you don't think it was my fault either. It was just one of those little demons of electrons running around wires and fiber optics that decided to stop and left us blank for a few minutes. I apologize for that. I'm still going to do my full hour. And this is George McClellan at George's Hour at fetchyournews.com. If you want to talk to me, I can be reached at 706-889-9700 or George at fetchyournews.com. If you're still watching, tomorrow I want to remind everybody is Pearl Harbor Day, December the 7th. I was alive when that happened. I was 2 years old. And while I don't remember Pearl Harbor Day, I remember deep in my conscious the reaction my parents had with it. My dad ended up going off to war. Things changed at my household, but I was a little boy and I was being fed every day, so things worked out anyway. The Democrat, I'm going to an area that's not been discussed except peripherally, and will become a major thing because it cannot be ignored, and that is Islam. I'm going to read today my thoughts that I haven't published them yet. I finished them up this morning. Officials in the city of San Bernardino, California, my hometown, where you remember a jihadist murders occurred a year ago. The city officials say they aim to prevent anti-Muslim hate crime. Now, where did that come from? A full 1 year after two Muslim jihadists who hated America declared war on San Bernardino co-workers and slaughtered 14 people in the hail of gunfire. It was a Muslim husband and wife team, and it wasn't Smith or Jones or Bonnie and Clyde. The very idea of the term hate crimes is an odious infringement on our First Amendment rights and should be removed because it enforces the left's idea of punishing decent folks by threats of violating political correctness. A murder is a murder. Its penalty is not heightened by having hate crime added to it. It's the thought police that have put that in our law. It was not applied to the jihadists who murdered their co-workers in San Bernardino last year. It wasn't even mentioned in the press, nor any other jihadist attack anywhere else in America for that matter. Yet the city of San Bernardino threatens Americans in their city with hate crime violations when not one incident against Muslims can be attributed to any residents of that city or county since that attack. Jews are attacked more often than are Muslims. So who is it in that city, San Bernardino, who believes they have some righteous authority to tell Americans they cannot defend themselves from criminals? Who is going to prevent Muslim jihadists from committing hate crimes against other Americans? These alleged lone wolf attacks is nonsense. They are planned, supported, and follow a pattern we see throughout Europe, the Middle East, and now in some areas of Asia. The aim of these small attacks and the tepid reaction to them by liberal authorities is a conditioning program to prepare us not to be prepared when the larger attacks are mounted. We are being trained to not hate Muslims simply because they are Muslims, and certainly take no action against them when these small attacks do occur. It's a conditioning process introduced by a Russian scientist named Pavlov. Pavlov's dog. You rang the bell and the dog salivated. Simple as that. That's what we're being conditioned by our government to do. Hopefully that will change with the upcoming presidency of Donald Trump. The aim of it all is to convince Americans that resistance is futile and salvation can only be found in submission to Islam. The very word Islam means submission. Presently, we have been through several years of progressive conditioning by having God all but beaten out of us, and especially during the past 8 years. The substitutive course is Islam. Now, how do we know this? Because we are forced to submit to their stupid demands. No Christian prayer or artifacts in our public schools or public places, but prayer rooms, halal food, clogging streets to pray, and bending to their every other complaint is encouraged, lest they should be offended. On November the 8th, America threw Obama and his idiotic ideas out the door. The Progressive Democrat Party is in total disarray and no longer occupy a position to object to Americans protecting themselves. The anti-Muslim hate crime idea is a sham, as is the politician who proposed it. He or they should also be shown the door, as Obama was. It remains a dangerous policy to play with rattlesnakes. And that's what the Democrats and the progressives are doing. Worse, they're demanding that we play with rattlesnakes too. The word used is tolerance, but only on our part. Muslims, the new protected class, are not being required to show tolerance. Tolerance with a fascist pseudo-religion that hates us is actually as intolerable as it is impossible. Islamophobia is actually the practice of self-awareness, knowing who the real enemy is, Islam, and practice self-defense against their unprovoked attacks. Islamophobia will protect us. These principles must be learned and practiced and should become the order of the day until they can all be rounded up, all the Muslims rounded up and sent back to their countries of origin. Only then will America be truly safe from hate crimes. Islamic attacks, shielded by progressive nincompoops like liberal politicians and college professors, will continue until our attitudes have changed. It is already starting to happen in Europe. Remember, freedom is the goal, and our Constitution is the way, not Sharia law. Now, I have done some collection of some facts I'm going to share with you on that very subject. Let's see how the world is starting to react to the continued Islamic depredations that are occurring in their midst. Well, first, Japan has always refused Muslims to live permanently in their country, and they cannot own any real estate property or any type of business, or they have been banned any worship of Islam. Any Muslim tourist caught spreading the word of Islam will be deported immediately, including all family members. Cuba, in the news lately, has even rejected the idea of constructing a mosque on their property. Angola, a nation in Africa, and several others have officially banned Islam. That doesn't mean Islam is not there with Boko Haram, killing, murdering people, stealing girls from Christian girls from schools and converting them whether they want to or not. Record number of Muslims, over 2,000, have now been deported from Norway as a way of fighting crime. Since these Muslim criminals have been deported, Norwegian crime has dropped a staggering 72%. Prison officials are reporting that nearly half of their jail cells are now vacant. Courtrooms are now nearly empty. Police are now free to attend to other matters, mainly traffic, and to keep their roads and highways safe, and assisting the public in any other way that a policeman could and should. In Germany alone, in the last year, there were 81 violent attacks targeting mosques. There is an element in Germany that called the neo-Nazis, or whatever they want to call them, but they don't like the Muslims in there any more than our redneck neo-Nazis in this country do. But they are actually have attacked mosques 81 times. Austrian police arrested 13 men who targeted jihadist recruiters. China. A Chinese court sent 22 Muslim imams to jail for 16 to 20 years for spreading Islam hatred, and they have executed 18 jihadists. China campaigns against separatism, which is disallowing Islamists to have their own separate state. Muslim prayers are banned in government buildings and schools in Western China. Hundreds of Muslim families are prepared to leave China for their own safety and return back to their own Middle East countries of origin. Oh, isn't that nice? Muslim refugees are beginning to realize that they are not welcome in Christian countries because of their violent ways and the continuing war in Syria and Iraq, ripped up by the hideous ISIS, who are murdering young children and using mothers and daughters as sex slaves. British Home Secretary prepares to introduce anti-social behavior order for extremists and strip dual nationals of their citizenship, and deportation laws are now being prepared, but they're also still targeting any Englishman or Scot or Welsh, any true Brit. They're targeting them for hate crimes. So they've got a long way to go to correct their problem. The Czech Republic has blatantly refused to allow Islam in their country. It simply is, they regard it as an evil, and it simply will not throw roots down in the Czech Republic. Here in America, Alabama, a new controversy has arisen with an amendment that will ban the recognition of foreign laws, which would include Sharia law. Alabama's taken a step in the right direction. They still have the problem, though, of displaying the Ten Commandments, the separation of church and state nonsense, which is not in the Constitution, but has the full force of constitutional law. Unbelievable. 18 other states have all introduced legislation to ban Sharia law. And in 1953, did you know? You did if you read my articles. In 1953, the Congress passed a law forbidding Muslims and Sharia law in this country. They saw then the danger it posed. It is incompatible with democracy. It's incompatible with a constitutional republic. North Carolina bans Islamic Sharia law in the state, regarding it now as a criminal offense. The Polish Defense League issued a warning to Muslims in Poland. Muslims in Northern Ireland have announced plans to leave that country to avoid anti-Islamic violence by Irish locals. The announcement came after an attack on groups of Muslims in the city of Belfast. Groups of Irish locals went berserk and bashed teenage Muslim gangs who were referring to young Irish girls as sluts and should all be gang raped, according to Islam and Sharia law. Even hospital staff were reluctant to treat the battered Muslim patients. The majority were given the Band-Aid treatment and sent home with staff muttering, "Good riddance." In Holland, Dutch MPs called for removal of all mosques in the Netherlands. One member of the Dutch parliament said, "We want to clean Netherlands of Islam." Dutch MP Marcel de Graaf spoke on behalf of the Party for Freedom when he said all mosques in the Netherlands should be shut down. Without Islam, the Netherlands would be a wonderful, safe country to live in as it was before the arrival of the Muslim refugees. We are in a period of self-inspection and to ourselves about what we're going to do with this Muslim problem. It cannot exist in America. It simply is incompatible, and we will only be providing troubles for ourselves forever if we continue this process of bringing them in by the boatloads. I hope that Trump ends that, like he ended the Boeing 707 airplane that the new Air Force One. Yesterday I was talking about, continuing on the Muslim story, the left has shown time and time again their affinity to support or encourage or least accept Muslim extremism, and they defend it publicly and openly. One would think that the social feminists and gay rights groups would view the Muslim world as a carnival of horrors, being that in almost any Muslim-controlled nation on the planet, they would be enslaved, stoned to death, or precipitated from the roofs of tall buildings. But no, instead, our leftist government will champion mass Muslim immigration without a second thought. It's part of their plan. It's absolute part of the destabilizing plan. And I'm being signaled it's time for a word from our sponsors, so we'll see you on the side and continue this interesting, at least to me, and this knowledgeable inquiry into the fate of our nation despite Trump.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on-site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East LJ. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Better days ahead. When Days Chevrolet in Jasper gives thanks, we give big. With over 20% off MSRP on remaining 2016 models and savings up to $10,000. New Silverado Crew Cabs from just $31,900. Or get 20% off MSRP plus days discounts on 2016 Malibus. Now just $18,900. Save up to $10,000 off MSRP today at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead. Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
Pizza Hut makes the best pizza in the entire universe, but they won't tell you that. I've been marooned on this planet for a while now. You are an impressive race. Your children know excellent hiding places. Your oceans aren't filled with lava. And you figured out how to combine a grilled cheese sandwich with a Pizza Hut pizza. Surely interstellar travel will soon follow, and then I can finally get back home. Round. Round like home. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza, proof that no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Well, welcome back. We're going to continue our discussion on Islam in America, Islam in the world, the dangers of Islam, and how it's totally incompatible, Islam, with constitutional representative government. You must know, Obama is now flying in Syrian refugees by the plane load, and he's using UPS airplanes, reconfigured with seats. And they land in the dark of night in predetermined airfields and unload their cargo. So he's doing that. Congress hasn't approved that. I think these people will need to be kept kept close, and then put back on those airplanes and sent back to Syria. It would be cheaper for us to open up refugee camps in our own country. If they want to fight whatever side, we could train them to fight. But most of them already know how. And it's immaterial to me what side they take, so long as they take it over there and not here in my country. So we are being forced to accept Muslims in this country against our will. And the forced Muslim immigration standards, both in Europe and here, are a product of global elitism, I believe, and absolutely fits in the Cloward-Piven strategy of destabilizing countries. The elites like to use incompatible cultures, and Islam is totally incompatible, as a tool to destabilize target societies. But leftists are also more than happy to go along with this program because it is the left that is inherently weak when it comes to direct confrontation, unless you look at it out on the streets in our cities and towns. And many progressives secretly enjoy the idea of having their own hitmen, like Black Lives Matter, Muslims, extremists, available if they need them. If any group has shown a willingness to work with the likes of ISIS, for example, it is the American left. Set aside the fact that under Obama, the Department of Defense admits in its own white papers that it was supporting the rise of Muslim terrorist networks. Finally, the left thinks that tanks suggest the idea that a second American Civil War will not be two-sided. Tanks given to police departments, armored recreational vehicles. But multi-sided probability, the only intelligent idea is their entire thought process. And here's the problem. Multiple groups on the left and the right have entirely different concepts on what the final American product should look like. Some on the left are anarchists, some are communists, some just want the continuation of the democratic process, but without Trump, of course. On the right, the left calls some of us hardcore neocons. I cannot believe that defending the Constitution and the rule of law, the Bible, the Ten Commandments makes me an ultra right-wing neocon, hardcore nincompoop, or a war hawk, but they want you to believe that it is our side willing to nuke the Middle East, including everybody in it, just to get the problem over with. The libertarians who just want to return to small government, but government control anyway, and constitutionalism, they're not going to get it if they want if they want to continue having government control everything. And the anarchic capitalists that seem to want to eliminate government and the Constitution, but live in a world of theory rather than practicality. I described the balance. If you have communism and Nazism on one side, on the left, and I'm doing this for you on the left, and anarchy on the absolute right, democracy is somewhere just to the left or to the right of the balance point, just slightly to the right, because both communism and Nazism, although they hate one another, are fascist government-controlled societies, and that's the difference. There are even Christian factions, believe it or not, that long for a Christian-based theocracy, and I'm thinking of, like Calvin from the 1600s and John Knox from the 1700s. Then there are people like me who just want to get to the root of the problem and hang all the globalists from lampposts. We don't necessarily have a beef with any other group as long as they stay out of our way. We should like to circumvent the danger of a civil war altogether, if possible, but in the case of trouble, forget negotiations, I think, and just go straight to gunfire. Unfortunately, it's probable that the second American Civil War will be multifaceted. And while we are all at each other's throats, The elites will be lounging on the Riviera, sipping their drinks and laughing. The most dangerous faction, besides the elites, will be the catalyzing faction, the aggressive left. They're always there. They're always lingering on the left, prepared to step in and take over. They will be the group that initiates all hostilities. Black Lives Matter is a case in point. What leftists do not know is that when they have always been useful idiots for the global elites, they will be thrown in the garbage once the elites have finished with them. Has been the case everywhere. Soviet Russia, the Bolshevik Russia of Stalin is a great case in point. Shows how they work. I hope that every leftist would watch the interview. Oh, this is a good one too, with Soviet defector, and he was a KGB agent, Yuri Bezmenov, in which he explained the process by which free nations are brought into chaos by the elites through the exploitation of the regressive left in order to establish their totalitarian system. Obama was pushing it. He was thinking he was getting there. Well, I'll leave you with this thought. Civil war in America, I think, is unavoidable. Neither Trump nor Hillary could have prevented it. Hillary probably would have encouraged it. Trump, the die has already been cast for him, and he's got to work with with the destruction that the Democrats have left us. Civil war is unavoidable. It's coming to this country. The left is too crazy, and we see that with their reaction to losing the election. The right has now been given the weapon of government, and that is too enticing to ignore. Consider which faction in the world benefits most from this rearrangement, and then you will understand that the left is ultimately a distraction from the greater enemy, and you remove the globalists from the picture and the left will sort itself out because there'll be nobody there to protect it. And I had written, I think I might have even used it one time, what is the final American product? What does America really want to be? We'll never go back to the pre-World War II America that our parents lived in. And the millennials coming up are going to have to accept the post-World War II world that we grew up in. Post-World War II world that we grew up in. And the America, as far as I'm concerned, the America of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s was a great place. Everything worked. Everybody had money. Everybody had earnings, had jobs. But those kind of things are disappearing now because technology has changed the face of the workforce. We've got to figure out something, and there's not going to be any more hammer and shovel jobs out there framing houses. I see houses being pre-made in factories where you might find a job that could be done by robots out of metal, the framing out of metal, installed on site, up in a couple of days, and you'll have a beautiful house. I see that day coming, the framing of a house with timber and wood. I think those days are going to be gone pretty soon, and sawing with saws and all the apparatus of livelihood that so many of us enjoyed for so many years. Anyway, I hope I haven't scared you, but I have a break coming up, and we'll see you on the other side.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
Pizza Hut makes the best pizza in the entire universe, but they won't tell you that. I've been marooned on this planet for a while now. You are an impressive race. Your children know excellent hiding places. Your oceans aren't filled with lava. And you figured out how to combine a grilled cheese sandwich with a Pizza Hut pizza. Surely interstellar travel will soon follow. And then I can finally get back home. Round. Round like home. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Well, welcome back, fun lovers. This is George McClellan at FetcherNews.com, North Georgia's only live internet talk show. I'm going to continue the discussion on Islam and what we can do about it, or what can be done about it, with the recent attack at Ohio State University still fresh in our minds. I'll proceed from that point. Abdul Razak Ali Artan, a Muslim immigrant from Pakistan, ran over pedestrians with his car before jumping out with a butcher knife to stab 11 fellow students, 3 of whom remained in critical condition. I was shocked that night hearing Fox News, even CNN, other mainstream media blowhards tell us they couldn't figure out what his motive was. I'm sick and tired of the press telling me what somebody's motive is. They have no business telling me what their motive is. If they find it out, they can say it. But don't try to analyze it, and don't make it a fact that his motive is anything but what it was, a jihadist attack. Here's the motive. Islam advocates violence and terror towards anyone who fails to accept the Quran or Islam. Artan followed the Quran's prime directive, which states, quote, convert or kill all non-believers, end quote. Now, the fact there is that there are no, and I've said this time and time again over the years, there are no moderate Muslims. With growing numbers, every one of them follows the Quran, its deadly effects when they have to, when they're ordered to. The Quran directs its followers towards endless violence and terror in order to conquer infidels. Now, all of us watching this show are infidels. And an infidel is nothing more than a non-believer. We don't believe in the Quran. We believe in the Holy Bible and redemption through the death of Christ on Easter. That's what we believe. These people recognize Christ in the Quran as a prophet, but that's it. That's all they give him. Quran, the 8 Surah 12, I will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve. Therefore, strike off their heads and strike off their fingertips. Well, this fellow in Ohio had a knife, and he tried striking it off. Well, he settled for second best. He started stabbing them after he run them down. Quran 356. As to those who reject our faith, I will punish them with terrible agony in this world and in the hereafter, nor will they have anyone to help. Punish them. Well, they were punished being run down and stabbed, and they will be greeted with the terrible agony of having Obamacare to fix them up. The Quran contains 109 verses that call Muslims to war against infidels, non-believers, for the sake of Islamic rule. Some are very graphic. with commands to chop off fingers and heads, kill infidels wherever they may be hiding. Allah will send them to hell if they do not join the slaughter. Artan's knife and car attack aren't the first this year that a Somali refugee hacked people with a large knife in Columbus. In February 2016, the Horn News, Columbus, Ohio, that is, reported that a Somali-born Islamic terrorist stormed a Jewish-owned restaurant in the same city and brutally slashed 4 people with a machete. Is there an argument against concealed carry? I don't think so. In 2015, police arrested a 23-year-old Somali-born man from the same refugee community, I won't even try his name, for plotting an ISIS-inspired attack on local American soldiers. In Columbus, Ohio, it probably had to be the Air Force or recruiting stations. In 2007, another Columbus-based Somali-born refugee, Nuruddin Abdi, was convicted of conspiring with an Al-Qaeda terror cell to bomb a Columbus shopping mall while providing material support to the organization. Moderate Muslims kill 20,000 women annually via honor killings advocated by the Quran, according to the United Nations report on honor killings. They cut all their girls with female genital mutilation, which proves barbaric beyond human understanding. They arrange marriages for little girls to 40-year-old men as a matter of course. They kill gays. They subject and beat their women into submission at all times, or they're authorized to do so. No one enjoys freedom of speech, special thought, clothing, spouse, or religious choice in Islamic-dominated countries. And that will include America if we let them. If they can't find infidels to slaughter, they graciously go about and slaughter one another. The Shias versus the Sunnis and the Kurds. And anyway, in the 21st century, the question certainly arises, why are Western countries inviting 6th century barbaric religious, economic, warring tribal band of Muslims into our countries? Why, when they know Muslims create terror, murder, chaos, and conquest in every host country? Violence, terror, killing remains the essential mandate of the Quran and all who follow it. It's proved that those mandates in hundreds of terrorist acts since 1972 Olympics, for all that, in France, to the train bombing in Brussels, Belgium, to the truck running over 50 plus people in Nice, France, to my hometown of San Bernardino, to the Boston Marathon, to this Ohio State University this week. Thousands of barbaric terrorist attacks worldwide. They don't even most of them don't even make the mainstream news. The more Muslims we import, the more terror events we can expect. It's the nature of their religion. It's not going to change because as their numbers grow, so does their push for Sharia law. There is no way to soften their primitive directive, quote, convert or kill all non-believers. One look at Europe shows you our future here in America. Journalist Daniel Greenfield wrote, when you turn on the evening news and see a running death toll, it's happening more and more often. The new brand of Islamic terror only needs one thing: Muslims. Lone wolf terrorism operates off the existing Muslim population in particular country support groups. The bigger the Muslim population, the bigger the risk. The FBI and other law enforcement agencies cannot monitor even a fraction of the Islamic settler population sympathetic to terror. As Muslims settled population in the country increases, the number of cases will increase as well. Therefore, all American people, along with Canadians for all that matter, Australians, Europeans, must demand that our leaders stop all Muslim immigration into our countries. Islam accelerates at an incurable disease of the mind and body of 1.5 billion people living in the dark ages of the 6th century, and a madman prophet named Muhammad. He raped, murdered, tortured, and beheaded anyone who opposed him. He embodied Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Mussolini, Pol Pot, and other figures that committed mass murder upon fellow human beings. You wouldn't import 10,000s of Ebola-stricken immigrants into the USA. We wouldn't or shouldn't import hundreds of thousands of polio-stricken immigrants or tuberculosis-infected immigrants. We wouldn't import tens of thousands of AIDS-infected immigrants. Why would we import hundreds of thousands of Islamic Quran-following Muslims into this country? It is a disease of the mind, and they have no soul. It's time to stop all Muslim immigration to the USA immediately. We don't want them killing our kids at Ohio State University or at our Christmas parties in San Bernardino or at our nightclubs in Orlando, Florida. We don't even want more blasts at the Boston Marathon or military recruiting centers being shot up by Muslims of every stripe. We don't want underwear or shoe bombers, and we don't need the New York Times Square blown up by a car bomber. We don't want it. We don't want another 9/11. What do we not understand about this precept? You have to call your senators, Johnny Isakson for Georgia and David Perdue for Georgia, your congressman, and tell them, immigration shutdown now means that American people want a total shutdown on all legal and illegal immigration. And that means we want all illegal immigration stopped by arresting, prosecuting, and jailing employers of illegal aliens. We deport all illegal aliens by taking their jobs away, and as we catch them, sending them back home to their countries of origin. We want English mandated as our national language, and we demand that Muslim immigration an end to Muslim immigration in order to protect our own culture. My culture is more important to me than their culture. They can go back and ride camels as far as I'm concerned. They want to change our way of life, and they want to change our language. We cannot have the world. We can't save the world. But we can save or destroy our own civilization. We can save or destroy our own civilization. Obama was on a crack course to do just that. We demand a stable population that allows everyone to live, work, and thrive in the 21st century, especially our children. Muslims cannot in any way become Americans. The Quran forbids it. Their own book forbids it. Their entire context of religious, political Sharia law demands subjugation to the religion with no allegiance to the U.S. Constitution. The Quran forbids women's rights, marital choice, free speech, gay rights, and religious rights. Our way of life remains completely out of bounds to Islam. I can't say much more than that. I think I've about shot up the course as far as Islam is concerned. Are we at another break, or do I have more time? I have more time. I want to share with you then my latest on politics. Perceptions can be dangerous. Perceptions are like magic tricks. Now you see them, now you don't. We struggled for years thinking the Democrat Party was all powerful. We allowed them to shove odious ideas down our throats like LGBT bathroom use. If you like your health care plan, you can keep your health care plan, etc., etc. There's too many lies already known for me to repeat here. The Democrat Party suffers from another misconception that they can save themselves from extinction by keeping the things they cherish the same. Now, how do they perceive doing that, one may ask? By renewing the party's signature losers, besides Obama, re-electing Nancy Pelosi to yet another term of leading her party to destruction. Oh, happy day. What could possibly go wrong? My perception is that re-electing Nancy to save the Democrat ship from sinking is akin to throwing a drowning man an anchor. And to put the party's leadership into the hands of a Muslim is to actually shoot holes in the bottom of the boat. All this is proof that the left is still in denial, that they never realized how their leftist policies adversely affected voters. It never occurred to them that their policies, in fact, offended voters, especially voters not living in the vast urban cesspools of liberalism on the two coasts. For the Republican side, the misperceptions will be even more painful. Donald Trump won the election as a Republican because he appealed to a vast populist sea of voters who were totally disenchanted with government, and that specifically includes the elite of the Republican Party. He won despite the Republican Party. They attempted to thwart his every move until it was inevitable that he would indeed be the next president. Trump is now trying to fill important cabinet positions with people who think like him. The perception is he can do it. The truth, however, is his pool of qualified candidates who think like him is far too small to accomplish this desire. Therefore, he is forced to hire people, or search for people, from the old establishment Republican Party. Reince Priebus is a good example. He is the epitome of the established Republican hack. Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, is another. I believe Trump knows this, and as he has demonstrated time and again, he's not afraid to fire people for noncompliance. Chris Christie is a case in point. Christie was loyal from the very first. Christie headed up his transition team. And then Christie made the mistake of bringing lobbyists, old Republicans, and other swamp creatures forward for Trump's approval. Christie was quickly shown the door. But the fact remains, Trump will have to put people into jobs who do not think like him, and whose behind-the-scenes machinations will work to undermine Trump's ideas. Their perception is that as Trump is not a politician, he can therefore be fooled while they work to retain the old status quo. That perception will not be lost on the base. It will not be lost on Donald Trump either, I suspect. America is at the very cusp of rejecting failing ideals, especially those whose only protection lies under the blanket of political correctness. For the left to call anyone else a racist, an Islamophobe, or a homophobe is only to reveal their own racism, Islamophobism, and homophobia. They don't care anymore. We don't care anymore. The final perception is that the one concerning our schools. And they are not doing justice to American history or America's children. They are in evil hands, and under Trump, I believe that will change too. So remember, freedom is the goal. The Constitution is the way. So now it's time to go get them. House Democrats are still restless despite Pelosi's olive branch. That was the silliest headline I ever saw, or at least this week. I'm going to talk a minute about Trump's call to Taiwan was planned months ago. I listened to the news like we all did, and Trump said that he received a call from the new president of Taiwan and graciously accepted it. Now, the timing of the call was not planned, but the fact that it was made was planned. Trump is telling China, why does the American president need China's permission to talk to any other head of state? We still supply Taiwan, nationalist China, with arms and airplanes and training. But why can't we not talk to the president of that country? That's an old stupid rule that was made, under Jimmy Carter, I think, a long time ago. So the president-elect Trump's historic phone call with the leader of Taiwan was meant to be provocative. And it did. You know, our press just goes wild. Every day, Trump throws a new hand grenade at them and blows up in their face. Now, they're talking about this, then they're talking about the next thing. The phone call on Friday between Trump and President Xi Jinping has been planned for months. People involved told the Washington Post. Typical Washington rules are not always considered best for our foreign policy, a top aide said. Do you remember John Kerry? I think he's still hanging about. Kerry said Trump team didn't reach out about Taiwan, calling Taiwan. Secretary of State John Kerry said the president-elect's transition team didn't reach out to the State Department before taking a congratulatory phone call from the Taiwan president. We have not been contacted before any of this conversation, Kerry said, during the Brookings Institute's 2016 Sabin Forum, an annual forum between American and Israeli officials. On Sunday, we have not been requested to provide talking points. Well, who would go to the State Department for its corruption? Trump is going to clean that place out. And I suspect now that the next Secretary of State, and this is my hope, will be John Bolton. There's the smartest man who knows how to do it. I think that we're going to see that happen. Pelosi said the Democrats don't want a new direction. Well, hang me with a rope. If they don't want a new direction, they better realize that they need a new direction because they have nothing in the middle. The West Coast and the East Coast that's their only base. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi downplayed problems with the Democrat Party on Sunday, saying that the party's values unify us. God, let's hope so. As long as they're unified, they'll go down with that ship with a hole shot in the bottom of it. and Representative Ellison at the rudder. The faction that kept Pelosi in power last week survived a serious challenge to her role as the Democrat minority leader because the caucus has in recent years shrunk to a group of mostly liberal lawmakers. That would be Denny Hoyer and Chucky Schumer and several others in there. Of course, Reid is on his way out. So as long as they keep thinking the old terms, I think the rest of America will be safe. But the Pelosi rebellion was just a beginning. California Representative Pelosi repelled a challenge to her leadership, but discounted that discontent compelled Ohio Tim Ryan to take her on amid much hand-wringing by House Democrats about their dismal performance on Election Day. Well, the fact is that Tim Ryan talks like a Republican now. After Reagan came in, how many Democrats, yellow dog Democrats, became Republicans? Well, they kept some of their Democrat ideas, but Republicanism won them over and made them part of the Republican government of Ronald Reagan, and we had a very productive years right there. But anyway, there we are. There's a lot of the reforms that we're seeing are pretty much cosmetic, said one Democrat congressman. And I probably overwhelmed you with so much detail today. I think that in light of the fact that I've just about covered my entire hour, I'm going to ask Cole to take us to some more interesting commercials or take us out. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Hopefully, everything works right. Goodbye. Enjoy the day. It's rain. We need the rain. Okay, Cole.